Hey, how you doing there? It's Chester, and it's time for the Why You Don't Review, where Anthony's going to go over a bunch of albums that he didn't talk about over the month, and talk about them here in a bunch of videos, one after another, and you don't even got to click on another video to see a bunch of opinions about a bunch of other albums. So there you go. I think that's all I got to say. All Annie told me to say. So without further ado, in the video. New Kamasi Washington EP, which I wanted to be as hyped about as a lot of people are. And there are some good highlights on here, some tracks that, you know, go in a bit of a jazz funk direction and a Latin jazz direction that I thought were very nice. But I was just getting a lot of moments of deja vu on this EP. I think it was smart and interesting to sort of put together like a condensed and very seamless listening experience that, while shorter, does kind of run a lot like the Epic did. But to me, this just kind of seems like an epic epilogue. I do try to give Hoodie Allen a shot every time he comes out with a new album because I like Hoodie Allen as a person. He seems like a nice guy. Seems like he loves his fans, and it seems like his hustle is impeccable. And from what I understand, you know, he's kind of like a self-made dude. And you know, unlike a lot of these other white rappers out there, he sort of seems to sidestep all of this, you know, nasty hatred that a lot of them get. And I think it's just because, you know, he's like a little bit of a lone wolf in the industry right now. He's so popular, and yet he gets so little in the way of nods and attention from the, you know, traditional rap industry. You know, and I think he has flow. I think he's got personality. You know, he's got wit. He's kind of funny. And his hooks certainly pop, but I typically do not like my pop rap this sugary. You know, it's just really not for me. However, just incredible and continuing respect for this dude and what he does. And, you know, I just hope he continues to be successful with it. You know, overall, I kind of enjoyed this more than Belly's last full-length project, although while I do think some of his flows are great and he has a great ear for production on this thing, at the end of the day, I can't say this project is much more than just average. You know, there's nothing lyrically or vocally or instrumentally that really truly kind of stands out to me as being very unique or very exciting. While the title is a bit of a tongue-in-cheek kind of thing, it's not actually a mumble rap album. He's certainly a cut above many mumble rappers you're going to hear. He's certainly not dazzling with his lyricism. The instrumentals are far from cutting edge. His flows are kind of catchy occasionally. The hooks are all right. It's not anything amazing, I guess. It's decent. I'm not going to hate on it, but I'm not going to tell you guys it's one of the best projects of the year. As much as people have praised Propagandhi over the years for this sound that they've developed into, this melodic, throttling, epic, sort of skate punk, melodic hardcore style, I just have not really been able to get into it. Like, there's a lot of older material in their back catalog that's very funny and very kind of satirical and has kind of a sharp, snarky wit to it that I think is, you know, really good. But as far as like a lot of this newer stuff, it's super self-serious and I don't know, just not really that exciting to me. You know, maybe not as grand or as epic as it sort of seems to imply. And I get it; these are serious times. You know, which is probably why the record is, you know, the tone that it is. And, you know, props for the album cover art, because Victory Lap, this image here, is an amazing combination of... If you're a punk fan and you're looking for something that is more than just, you know, kind of your simple, aggressive, straightforward meat and potatoes punk record, definitely look this thing up, because, you know, there certainly are dynamics to it. It certainly is trying to do something on a somewhat grand scale while sticking to its punk roots. And respect for that, it's just not really meaning much to me, that's all. Miley Cyrus goes country on her new album. I mean, why not at this point? You've done almost everything else, and you know, culturally and as far as where she kind of got her start. I mean, with her father and everything. I mean, that's where she comes from. That's the background she comes from. I wouldn't say that it's really that special of a pop or a country record, or a pop record with kind of a country twang to it. Though I will say, in this musical context, the natural twang of her voice, or at least kind of her somewhat nasal, almost foghorny kind of delivery, makes more sense. Certainly doesn't seem as out of place. Certainly doesn't sound as obnoxious as it does against some kinds of instrumentals and some kinds of musical styles. But it's not really doing anything for me. Though I will say, this is easily one of her most tolerable albums for me. This is one of her least annoying albums. I'm not going to say it's great, but it certainly was listenable, and that's worthy of respect to some degree, I guess. Unfortunately, despite loving a lot of Hebden's earlier stuff under the Four-Tet name, this new album is just such a snoozer for me. Like, I get that his music typically does run very subtle and, is usually very cerebral and heady and takes a while to develop and blossom and deliver its fullest and, most intricate ideas. But a lot of these songs just really didn't go anywhere interesting for me. And, not only that, but the ideas just were not truly that bold. Like, everything as far as progressions and as far as sound play just felt so faint. That this album, for the most part, just became like wallpaper music for me. I'm not really sure what to say at this point. I mean, obviously elements of, electroacoustic music and techno and house and all that stuff still influence his music, but it just doesn't sound like he's experimenting quite as boldly as he has in the past, which is primarily what has made Four-Tet's music so fantastic and intriguing to begin with. I kept returning to this Susanne Sundfør album again and again and again, just hoping that it would finally click with me. I mean, I guess in a way I respect that this is the first time she's making an album quite like this with every record she has dropped so far. She kind of changes her sound up quite a bit on this one. It's mostly acoustic. It's very spacey. It's very atmospheric. It's very dramatic. It's very regal. I would say. However, to me, as I listen to the album again and again and again, it kind of reads to me as like, I don't know, a Kate Bush record, or maybe even like a, I don't know, like a Joanna Newsom album, but without that extra eccentric spark to sort of push it over the edge, to sort of just make it seem like, aha, whoa, this is like truly a unique or a vibrant or, a passionate experience. It's too reserved and it's too, I guess, sort of predictable to sort of scratch those itches. Everybody's saying, review the new Wu-Tang, review the new Wu-Tang, review the new Wu-Tang, and listen, I get it, okay? The last record was not really their best, and some of the lead-up tracks on this thing were pretty grimy, pretty hard-hitting, definitely played to those New York boom-bap roots. However, this new record over here, it's barely a Wu-Tang album, okay? You don't have all the original members assembling on single tracks. The production, obviously, is a factor here as well. This is essentially like a rap album that only has Wu-Tang features on it. You know what I mean? It's kind of not entirely like, it's like only technically a Wu-Tang album in name only. It's like a Wu-Tang album for marketing purposes. Like, this does not seem like a clearly collective effort from everybody in the group all at once. I was pretty excited to listen to this LP. Unfortunately, it was a little too run-of-the-mill and pleasant when I actually gave it a listen. However, I don't think there's anything entirely wrong with that. There are some very nice folk rock records out there that you can listen to and they're just kind of like for a lazy Sunday or something. There's nothing bad about that. And while I did find Courtney's last record very underwhelming and Kurt's last record very underwhelming. There is something that's so much more charming about this album over here. Like, there's definitely a certain playfulness and a flirtiness and a fun, very loving attitude to this album that I think is enhanced by the sense of collaboration here. I've been listening to this kid and listening to this kid. He even hit me up on Twitter. He's like, hey man, listen to my new project. I would love it if the needle drop and Pitchfork and listen to my new project. So I did. A lot of people were recommending it too. And it's okay. You know, it's some good conscious hip hop, thoughtful lyrics, some nice instrumentals. He just kind of wears his influences on his sleeve. You know, like a lot of these newer contemporary conscious rappers, especially Kendrick, like he is so like biting them on this thing. And listen, that's not to say that out of complete disrespect. Obviously, he's influenced by these artists because he thinks very highly of them. He thinks they're doing great things, and he wants to do great things too. I'm just kind of waiting for the moment where he kind of bypasses that a little bit and comes into his own. There are good lyrical and instrumental fundamentals on this thing, as well as, you know, rapping fundamentals. The flows on here are pretty good. It's just that, you know, this part sounds like this person, this part sounds like this person, this part sounds like this person. There's just a lot of moments that, you know, it seems really obvious that he's pulling from his contemporaries. And, you know, hey, listen, a lot of these artists who he's borrowing from, that's how they sounded when they started off. You know what I mean? So it'll be interesting to sort of see if he can kind of jettison a lot of those sounds he's borrowing from other people into the future and, you know, completely develop a style of his own, because it seems like he's got a lot of heart, seems like he's got a lot of vision, seems like he's trying to do something on a grander scale. And I wish him the luck, wish him all the luck in the world to getting that done. I mean, sure, you know, it has a little bit more bite than their last album, which was just like a bland, washed out grunge record, but, you know, is it all that interesting of like an emo or a pop punk or a post-hardcore album? Not really. I couldn't pick this album out of a lineup. I couldn't. Some albums you just don't have anything to say, no matter how much you think, no matter how much you listen, you just don't. Musician. Have you given these albums a listen? Did you love them? Did you hate them? What would you rate them? You're the best. You're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe, and please don't die. Just eat your fruits and veggies and stay hydrated. Over here next to my head is a link to a playlist where you can check out other YUNO reviews, or you can hit the link to subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys in the next one. Forever.